Two nuclear-armed nations clashing in the absolute dark of a freezing Himalayan valley. The combat is brutal, hand-to-hand, no bullets fired. To understand why they fight for uninhabitable rock at the roof of the world, you have to look further south, to a narrow strip of land in West Bengal. This map shows the Siliguri Corridor, the only land bridge connecting mainland India to its northeastern states. It is exactly 23 kilometers wide. By pushing infrastructure south from the Tibetan plateau, Beijing aims to secure the high ground overlooking this bottleneck. The primary weapon of this advance is the excavator, heavy machinery tearing into stone, boring through rock, and carving massive paved arteries into the cliffside. This is a calculated weaponization of geography, an attempt to alter the terrain to position forces where they could cut India in two. The fear of a severed nation stems from a specific historical wound. In 1962, a border conflict with China ended in a devastating rout. The suddenness of the Chinese advance caught forces completely unprepared. That defeat embedded a deep anxiety within the Indian military establishment regarding the northern frontier. Any modern encroachment triggers that exact memory. For New Delhi, yielding ground is a repetition of history. The line must be held. In June 2017, Chinese military engineers pushed south into the Doklam Plateau, a disputed territory claimed by India's closest ally, Bhutan. 2 days later, 270 Indian soldiers crossed the Sikkim border under Operation Juniper. They marched to the construction site and physically stepped in front of the bulldozers. The orders were absolute. Form a human barricade, block the machinery, do not discharge a single firearm. For 73 unbroken days, the two opposing patrols stared at each other across a few meters of rock. State media in Beijing issued daily ultimatums and threats. New Delhi issued no statements. The Indian soldiers remained completely silent, and they did not step back. By late August, both sides agreed to de-escalate. India had matched the weight of the Chinese military apparatus with sheer, unyielding stillness. This satellite breakdown reveals the aftermath. While the road construction halted, permanent Chinese outposts, trenches, and helipads quietly took root just behind the standoff point. India won the psychological battle. China built for the future. 3 years later, the world shut down. While India enforced a nationwide pandemic lockdown, China mobilized. Under the guise of routine spring exercises on the Tibetan plateau, PLA troops diverted toward eastern Ladakh. They established blockades preventing access to 6 strategic Indian patrol points along the line of actual control. India rushed specialized mountain reinforcements into the high-altitude desert to counter the massive troop buildup. Following tense military talks, commanders agreed to a mutual pullback. Colonel Santosh Babu of the 16th Bihar Regiment led a patrol into the Galwan Valley to verify that the Chinese forces had dismantled their camps. They had not dismantled them. The era of relying on diplomatic trust in the Himalayas had reached its breaking point. The Galwan Valley at night offers zero visibility. The air at 14,000 feet is dangerously thin, and temperatures drop well below freezing. Suddenly, hundreds of Chinese soldiers emerged from the dark, surrounding the small verification patrol in a violent ambush. To bypass the bilateral ban on firearms, the PLA attacked with medieval tools, heavy iron rods, spiked clubs wrapped in barbed wire, and heavy jagged stones. Beside the narrow rocky ridge, the Galwan River rushed past in the dark. A single slip into that meltwater meant hypothermia and death in minutes. The patrol was vastly outnumbered. They fought back. The ambush fractured into over 6 hours of continuous hand-to-hand combat in the pitch black. The Indian forces pushed the attackers back across the line through pure, unyielding human ferocity. By dawn, the ground was empty, but the cost was absolute. 20 Indian soldiers died, including Colonel Santosh Babu. India openly honored its dead. Beijing obscured its losses, delaying casualty reports for months and eventually admitting to a fraction of the believed fatalities. In the aftermath, New Delhi rewrote the rules of engagement. Field commanders on the ground now have the operational freedom to respond to threats immediately without waiting for permission from the capital. Doklam and Galwan are 2 halves of the same strategy. At Doklam, the toll was paid in months of freezing stillness. At Galwan, the price was blood. In both cases, India paid it. The ghost of 1962 was answered. The Himalayas remain India's wall. These soldiers are its bricks.